What's going on, YouTube? Culturedog Sam Hatch back here with another Blu-Ray Spotlight review. Many apologies for not getting some of these out in time for their official release date. Usually if I have a review copy, I try and get this recorded, then put together and slapped up on the YouTube before, or on at least, the release date. But this title came out a little while ago, early May 3rd, I believe. And it's an American movie classic already. It's a modern classic. Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre. Again, once I popped this out of the package, I'm like, all right, Sharkansas alone would be enough of a title for a movie. But you got to add in some women's prison action. You get that whole little subgenre there. And then we'll want to not throw a massacre on there as well. So Sharkansas, Women's Prison Massacre. And yeah, Dominique Swain is in this sucker, as is Tracy Lords, as is Cindy Lucas. It's an interesting flick from Jim Wynorski, who's got an insane amount of trashy B movies and Z movies under his belt. And this thing is looking to hit that direct-to-video, streaming, and cable market. Strangely, with the amount of porn pedigree behind it, I mean, Cindy Lucas is legitimate porn actress, and Tracy Lords, of course, has her history, though she should probably be in some more like comedy TV shows or something. More on that later. This thing is surprisingly bereft of nudity, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre is the tale of a women's prison that we never see. You see the outside of it very briefly. The film begins with some fracking mishaps down in the bayou, and a bunch of prisoners from said women's prison are being escorted off-site to do some hard labor out in the field. And they show briefly them being ushered out of what looks like a park ranger station or some sort of municipal building that you would go and pick up some maps or something like that. Not necessarily to go see your aunt in prison. But anyway, so these are some tough girls, and Christine Yen's one of them, Amy Holt, and yeah, Cindy Lucas, of course. And they're all on their trip when all of a sudden Dominique Swain is the lesbian lover of one of these inmates, and she shows up to break them loose at the exact same time a random giant prehistoric monster shark attacks one of the other girls, and it can power through just about anything. It can go through soft soil, etc., and even though it can't power through rock, it seems to find its way wherever you want to go. So these sharks can't be stopped, and even being out of the water isn't going to save your butt. So it's like a lot of horror movies where it's got that one story that meets the horror at an angle. Like nobody expects to go on a bank robbery, go on a caper or anything like that, and encounter some supernatural forces or some sort of monster. So in this case, breaking your lady out of jail, you're not expecting a super shark or super sharks to show up. The CG is okay at times. It's when they're burrowing, it's a little dodgy, but some of the stuff in water is okay. There's some good kills, shark kills and everything like that. But eventually all these people hole up in the safe house that's been chosen for this prison escape at one point. And everyone has to learn to work together, despite the fact that there's some friction amongst different characters, and some people aren't necessarily excited about breaking the law so close to being released from prison, etc. And the guards, of course, aren't always excited about having to team up with these ruffian ladies. Meanwhile, while all this nuttiness is going on, Tracy Lords is a cop kind of tracking down some murderous activity, and her partner are semi-uncovering / following the trail of the nefarious doings of these girls. And yeah, Tracy Lords actually has some kind of funny moments in here. I almost kind of wish she was on like a quirky TV cop show or something like that, or like a picket fences kind of thing, or or she was going to be in the new Twin Peaks or something like that. Yeah, I kind of want to see some Tracy Lords TV action. Get on that, everybody. That said, all they kind of do is walk around and don't really interact that much with the main story here, and I don't think they really impact the story at all. But it's a cool diversion from the main thrust of the tale. But yeah, more characters, of course, show up, like in traditional Evil Dead style. If you're holed up in a cabin somewhere, someone's going to roll in like halfway through the movie. So, and then there's a whole kind of cavern section of the film too. I don't want to ruin anything. Not that there's much to be ruined. If you think you know what you're going to get with this film, you're going to get that exactly. Some real cheesy stuff, some characters that are complete idiots, and you're like, why are you doing that? And then when they die, you're like, awesome, good, you kind of deserved that. But yeah, there's lots of gratuitous clothed TNA, which is really fascinating. There's a scene early on where the girls are all getting ready to get clean and out in the field, and they're hosing themselves down with water in slow-mo, but yeah, nobody gets naked. So it's one of those cases where exactly who is this movie for? It's not exactly classic, late at night Cinemax spank material, and it's too TNA, it's too cheesy, to be a quality B horror movie. So it's kind of something that won't satisfy either people. If someone's just looking for something on the softcore edge, they're not going to really be that excited about this. And if you're looking for something that's just pure blood and guts, you might be disappointed by all the really cheesy cheesecake elements to it. But yeah, it knows what it is. It's not trying to be anything better than that. And the good news is it is better than like the Sharknado films and a lot of the Asylum stuff and Birdemic and all that stuff. So while it is one of those things that you would trip across on cable and just power through, and it still is at least a coherent enough narrative, thankfully. But yeah, Jim Wynorski, everybody. Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre. Video quality's all over the map. It's shot in high def, of course, shot on video, but some scenes are seem hyper sharpened and aggressively edge enhanced, and it just might be the way the film was mastered and edited. And then some bits are kind of soft, and yeah, I mean, there's some good contrast in one scene, and in the next everything looks really kind of murky, and the blacks are washed out. So yeah, you're not going to be looking at this for some THX reference quality material, and it's totally not consistent. But you can see the tight shirts fine. Audio is pretty decent. There's actually a generous amount of active, discrete surround sound material. Obviously, there's some gun attacks on sharks, etc., and sharks swimming around the ground near you, but nothing amazing. But it was better than I thought it was going to be. So, and it was dialogue for what it was always clear, and the music, as cheesy as it was, came across well enough. But again, not a showstopper demo material release, but it does what it does. Not too much for extras on here. You get the trailer, you get a still gallery, pretty copious amount of stills in there actually, and you get the commentary track with Jim Wynorski and Cindy Lucas and Amy Holt. And if you had any question about their kind of goals in making this film, Jim Wynorski kind of comes across as a semi-sleazy dude, and Cindy Lucas plays right into it, and yeah, it's a trashy little romp through film history, and it's entertaining enough. It's always energetic. They're always talking about something or other, and even if it's not about the depths and intricacies of the plot, they let you know about what it was like trying to pretend that you're there hot in Arkansas when it was freezing out, and etc. like that. So there was some cool practical movie making information on there, but then a lot of stuff too that's that lets you know that this was meant to be nothing more than some kind of lightweight exploitation. So yeah, Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre. I don't know if anybody actually needs to own it, but curiosity gets the best of you. Check it out, and you can tell your friends you saw it. One of those things. But yeah, a lot of CGI. Some of it's pretty well done, some of it's not. Though it is cool here in the commentary track where they do mention that the CGI was really, really bad in early prints of this, so they kind of stepped up their game a little bit, but better than your average stuff. Yeah, so thumb sideways, yeah, something like that. Enjoy.